Hey guys, it's Erica. I forgot what I was going to say. Welcome back. Welcome back. Let's try this again. Hey guys, it's Erica. Welcome back. Let's talk about the 4 classes that I had today. I had my 2 Erics, a student named Min Min, and a student that I saw a couple weeks ago for the first time in a supplementary grammar class, and he came back today for one of his MC classes. Major, main, most. I don't know what the M stands for. I forgot. But anyway, he came back for a regular class. I had invited him back and he came back. So I was thrilled. That was my final class with Kevin. I guess we can talk about that one first today. So, Kevin, I remember in grammar, he had kind of a hard time engaging in free conversation. He wasn't always really like certain when we would go away from the slides. So I just gently tried to push the boat away from the shore this morning. And so I let him read. Sometimes I would give a direction, I would ask a different question, and then he would start reading. And there was a couple times I would kind of go back and rewind and say, oh no, this is what I was asking. But I didn't do it every single time. Love that or hate that. I feel like I've talked about this before. Sometimes there's this like emotional bank account, this like trust bank account or rapport bank account that you take withdrawals out of by making corrections, and you put some stuff back in by doing rewards and praising students. I definitely believe in correcting mistakes, but sometimes, especially if I've used a little bit of incidental language to kind of challenge the student, to kind of do a mini assessment of like where they're at, I don't always correct that. Now, if I say circle the correct answer and they underline, I have no problem saying, nope, circle. Like, no, you need to learn the difference between circle and underline, just because I want you to feel super familiar, whether I tell you to underline, whether I tell you to circle, like that I want you to know. Or if I said like, I read, you listen, they should be listening and not, reading over me. Like real basic instructions. But if I go a little off the map, I don't always correct. I try to at least once help them understand a more complex direction. But with Kevin, I'm still kind of getting to know him. I feel like I get kind of spoiled with some of my students there. I can say, what is the title at the beginning of class? And they've done it so many times, they'll immediately read the title. Like, for example, today, this was the birthday lesson. And so we're reading that weird, like, digital book, Birthdays Around the World. Finally, they got rid of that weird thing, like Americans and Canadians put butter on their nose. Thankfully. Thank you, curriculum team. So we were looking at a book, and I wasn't sure where he was at. Most of my regular students can tell you like the parts of a book, like here's the title, this is the author, here's the cover of the book, here's the back cover. I don't know if they all know title page, but that was the other book part we were supposed to be looking at. So we took some time and I said, hey, here's my book. We oriented like this is a book. I said, show me there. Where is the front cover of that book? And he circled it. And where is the back cover? And where is the title page? And we kind of went through that. And I said, oh, circle the title. And he wasn't really sure. And so I wrote the word title. The part was a little, I took some withdrawals from our rapport bank account. So that's why I had this reward. We played like guess a picture. Again, it was one of my circle drawings. I drew it progressively, and it was really funny. In the very beginning of the class, he said, oh, it's a circle, I'm not guess. And when I drew these little feet, that was the second thing I drew, he immediately said pig, and I threw him off. I felt kind of mean, but I said a green pig? Wow. I wouldn't say he was wrong. I was just like questioning. He's like, oh, no, it's not a pig, not a pig. I'm like, okay, not a pig. And we drew a question mark again. And then I think I drew eyes and then these ears, and he said, oh, a cat. And so then I drew a curly tail, and he's like, no, a pig. And we drew the nose and finished it. So this was a good way. I used my reward. I didn't use my stars every 5 minutes. I decided to use my stars in a different way. When Kevin was taking risks, or if we were doing something that made him feel a little uncomfortable, I felt like I'd taken a withdrawal out of the rapport building bank account. That's when we did it, because this was just kind of relaxing. It was watch the teacher draw and think. There was no pressure. It took the pressure off for 15, 20 seconds. So that was him. This is all kind of about rapport and like helping your students calm down so they can think. Like, can you think, especially in your second language, when you're all like, oh. So my longtime regular Min Min, my first class of the day, showed up like 11 minutes late. Like, no hit on him. Things happen. But he was so upset and he felt so bad because a couple weeks ago he no-showed on my class for some other reason. Him and his friends were doing something, got caught up. Anyway, he felt horrible and sent me this big long apology note. So he showed up late for class and he's trying to explain and he's trying to get his computer situated and the internet connection's not very good. And I didn't help this situation because I just was talking to him like I might talk to, any other 13-year-old boy. And I'm like, oh no, was there a car accident? Are you okay? And it was like, da 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 da. For a native English speaker, this would have been no big deal to navigate all of teachers' questions. Talking about myself in the third person, sorry. Anyway, it wouldn't have been a big deal. But to a student that's already spun up in his second language, he's probably like an upper intermediate speaker, maybe beginner advanced. It was overwhelming. It was just too overwhelming. And so probably like 30, 45 seconds into this, I'm like, okay, I know what's happening. It just clicked. I could feel, again, the rapport, the Comfort Bank account. I was making like mad withdrawals out of it. So I just calmed down and I just asked some real easy questions. I was like, we started reading a story. I said, what was this person's name, or what animal was this? We were in the level 6, or at the end of level 6, we're in Chile. We're talking about Tren Tren Vilu and Kai Kai Vilu. Do you remember the story about the two like warring gods? Anyway, they were talking about that. So instead of asking some of the reading comp questions that they ask you to ask as the student's reading, they'll be like, what did you think? Why do you think this? Great, but that's like higher order thinking. So to just throw him a couple bones and to make him feel relaxed, like, oh, I can do this. I've got this. This isn't that hard. I just asked him some real easy questions. And lo and behold, it just kind of calmed him down. I even slowed my speaking pace down. I tried to just be very calm. Sometimes students really feed off us. If we're kind of like this, they're kind of like this too. So we slowed it down. And like I said, he showed up 11 minutes late to class, and this was lesson 8. And so in the NMC classes where they're doing like a group class at certain points, you'll get some kind of notification by your start and finish class button. And it'll say like, psst, and then it says some other thing in 5 seconds. I don't know. It comes up at 25 minutes and then I think at like 28 minutes too. This was some kind of reminder to let me know that like the student needed to get on to like their group class. And so when I saw that, I skipped to the writing task. We talked briefly about what he needed to do for that. And then I had sent him on to his class, but not before explaining, like, you have that group class, right? And he's like, oh, yeah, I have this. And he kind of described it. And so I said, okay, I'm sending you to your class, and sent him on. So I think today, there was another thing that happened, one of my longtime regulars in level 7. So he has problems sometimes, like putting more description. He's really good at explaining stuff, like there is a dog right there. The woman sits by the bus or whatever. Really just like, basic sentences, grammatically correct, but I'm always trying to get him to use more description, like make me think of something. I want to see something in my head. And so today that was actually part of the lesson. We're in unit 3 of level 7 and it's like into nature, something about nature. And so we're talking about how to describe things, to create imagery. And so we had, right before the break, I love when this happens, my plan was to get to a certain slide by the break. And it was there were 3 sentences, and the goal with these sentences was to put some adjectives and adverbs in there, put some more description. So the basic sentence was, the girl sat at her desk. Great. Was she happy? Was she sad? Who knows? So we did this in kind of like an I do, we do, you do fashion. We got to you do like later on. I decided we're only going to go as far as we do right now. So then I had another sentence. I wrote all these 2 out. And so I said, okay, read this. The tired girl slouched in her chair, and I had him act out slouching. He knew, and he just like kicked right back. It was hilarious. And so then I showed him this one. We changed, the girl to student. And I kind of, you can see I kept the color of the text to kind of show him like, this is referring back to this. So then he read this one, and I said, here, you show me. Show me the excited student waited eagerly at her desk for the teacher to arrive. And it was cute. He went, the big smile, just like waiting. He got it. And I was so proud teacher moment, because eager or eagerly was a vocabulary word he'd struggled with a couple weeks ago. And he knew, like, maybe there was some context. I don't know if he knew what eagerly meant, but he did it. And so we talked about like how, you know, the base sentence, we don't know. The girl sat at her desk. We don't know how she feels. We don't know why she was there. And so this adding more detail gives us a little context and it creates a picture in our head. So we moved on and we had this. And so there was nothing here. Like there was no old and there was no calmly. And so the woman waited for the bus. I said, well, what kind of woman? And he said, like the beautiful woman waited patiently for the bus. And then we changed it to the old woman waited calmly for the bus. And we talked about like how that would be different. And then finally, we wanted to just show how we can use description to like maybe explain a purpose. Like, why is this happening? So I think the base sentence was the man stood next to his car. And I said, well, how did he stand? And he gave me the word impatiently. We were on impatient and patiently. But you know what? That's fine. I don't care if you repeat the word. You're using it in different ways, right? And so then I said, well, this was all blank. Why? Why was he waiting? Or no, I think I had he was at his car waiting for. I said, well, what was he waiting for? He said, his friend. And I asked him to show me waiting impatiently. And he kind of was like tapping on a fake watch or whatever. So this was a big stretch for him. And it was really good because I'm always nervous about spending so much time on one slide. I mean, we might have been at this slide for like 5 minutes. No, it felt like 5 minutes. It could have just been 3 minutes. But anyway, we spent a little more time than I had planned, especially in level 7 when you have a lot of slides and a lot to get through on each slide. But by the time we got to the end of class, we got to the you do, and we actually had a little bit of extra time. I was shocked. He flew through some of the grammar. He's great with grammar. So by the time we got to the end, I asked him to do this. And he was able to do a great job. He was able to change some sentences, add some stuff in. And we talked a little bit about his writing task, which I think we're writing about, like, I should really know, something about nature. Poor kid. That's probably what he's thinking too. I'm going to give a speech about nature. So I think my big lesson for today was getting students comfortable. You know, think about what it is that you're trying to do and getting them comfortable, because when students are all just spun up, when we're spun up, like, can we think straight? Can we be creative? Like, no. I'll just answer that for you. At least for me, no, I cannot. When I speak in Spanish, I really need to be calm. I don't think I'm to the point where I can't speak very well. I can certainly communicate when I'm all spun up, but if I wanted to like speak eloquently and describe something to you and be creative in Spanish, I would definitely need to be calm to do that. So once again, thank you so much for watching, and look out for our new video series. I think starting on Monday. Maybe I should just say it now. We're starting on Monday, maybe Tuesday. By Friday, I'll have made a decision. But this is going to be our teaching tips you can use tomorrow or tonight, wherever you want to use them. It'll be a more practical teaching series, less nebulous, and look forward to that. So I'll see you in the next video. Bye.